I think one has to recognise that getting a diagnosis of a disorder in a child is a shock to any one, and I think parents should expect that they have to go through a process of sort of absorbing that information and then needing to find out what the significance of the diagnosis is. I think probably the main bit of advice I would give to parents is that children with autism develop. So that the child at that point in time is not going to be the same in a year's time or in 3 years' time or in 10 years' time. It's not a fixed label. So children with autism develop in the same way that other children develop, and I think parents mustn't lose sight of that. I think the corollary of that is that parents need to be prepared for getting help for the child right through childhood and into adult life. So autism isn't the sort of condition where one just needs to intervene or help the child at one particular point in time and thereafter everything will be fine. One sort of needs to stay on top of things for a long time. I think the other advice I would give to parents who are often very worried about what will happen after they're no longer around, particularly if a child's got a lot of difficulties early in life, is that society's attitude and approach towards autism has really changed quite dramatically, and I think we're now much more aware that we have to provide support and help for people, or maybe just keeping an eye on someone who's very able all the way through the lifespan. I know it's a huge worry of parents, even of very young children, as to who's going to keep an eye on this individual when they're not there. And I think as a society we've just moved a long way in terms of putting in place institutionalised frameworks, if you like, for supporting people on the spectrum. I think reading about autism is a help, but it can also, I think, cause a lot of anxiety if the sort of child that one reads about on the internet or in books doesn't seem in any way similar to one's own child, because the spectrum is so huge. I think most parents find it very helpful to talk to other parents of children with autism, especially if they can find parents whose child is somewhat similar to their own, because although parents do receive lots of help from professionals, that's not quite the same, I think, as talking to someone who's been through it before.